Okay, next is God Mode, a LitRPG Saga Mythrune Online, written by Derek Allen Sidaway and AJ Cerna. It is 453 pages, $2.99, so very well priced. It's available on Kindle Limited. Here's the author's description. A $10 million MMORPG tournament. An invincibility hack gone wrong. Welcome to Mythrune. With his glorious days behind him and nothing but life as a loser to look forward to, Zane can't wait for Mythrune. The first of its kind immersive fantasy game with promises to provide just the escape from reality a washed-up athlete like him needs. But when his younger brother learns he only has weeks left to live, Zane is forced to take his gaming to the next level if he's going to afford to pay for his brother's operation and ditch their sorry life forever. To celebrate the launch of Mythrune, the game's developers announced a worldwide player tournament. The prize, $10 million. More than enough. Utilizing a God mode bug to make himself invincible, Zane aims to win it off without getting caught. But it doesn't work as planned. Between pain sensitivity glitches, exploitive players, and a reworked world map and a leveling system unlike anything he's seen, Zane realizes there's much more to pro gaming than staying alive. Okay, this is an okay story. It's not bad. It's not amazing though either. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. And fundamentally for me, it almost didn't work, but I was just entertained enough to give it a low 7 score. The story of the stakes of the story are decent. Nothing bad about them. But it's stuff I've read before. In the description, the main character has to win this contest to save his brother's life, get him an operation. I'm like, okay, that's a good enough reason. Besides, I mean, I think $10 million alone would have been good enough, but hey, why not? The special unique power he has which is an exploit that gives him, takes away his ability to die in the game, I'm like, okay, that definitely lowers the potential for, I guess, I'm not so sure if it's failure, but I think I would have enjoyed the story if there's actually a chance that he was going to suffer some like major setbacks of dying and having to wait certain times. So each death would actually lend like a lot of like weight to the story. But that's not what this is. It's an enclosed story where the main character has a special exploit where he can't technically, his health can drop all the way to like 1%, but it won't go any farther faster. That is balanced in the game mechanics with the main character still feeling full 100% immersion pain. And so even though he's hurt and he's killed or he can be chopped up and he's still for every bit of it. He can't die as long as he doesn't log out. And that would reset that unique circumstance that let him hit this God mode exploit. Along the way, he meets other players and there's issues of blackmail and some other consequences for him interacting with other players. I'm not going to spoil it for you. And that aspect of it was perfectly okay, but again, it wasn't something super like engaging and amazing to me. On the game mechanic side of things, this story doesn't use traditional leveling and experience points. Instead, it uses randomly dropped stat orbs and an averaging system rather to determine level. Skills are probably the biggest aspect of the story, where they require points to improve and to unlock new abilities in which you gain requests or random drops or leveling. Other game mechanics in the story are fairly consistent with any MMORPG you've ever played. With the vibe of the story, will definitely feel familiar to anyone who's played an MMO. There are P characters in the story, there are role players and min-maxers and players, lots of quests types that are going to be familiar to players. Lots of notifications, quest skills. It's a very relatively crunchy story. The story side of things, again, it's fairly slice of life. You just follow the main character as he tries to, in this short period before the contest starts, to gain as many levels as he can, and also to get a contest token to enter the actual contest. But there's not much more to it. I mean, there's definitely antagonists and there's definitely setbacks for him, and there's this struggle for him to gain as much power as he can and also get this token. But that's about as plotty as it gets. A lot of everything else is just him figuring out what he's going to do in this new map and how he's going to how his plans to take the information he had as a beta tester and exploit it isn't going to work out, and what he's going to do now. And that's okay. It just didn't really engage for me. In a lot of ways, I say it's enough to be entertaining, but it wasn't like, oh, I have to read the next page. I'm like, oh, it was very much like, I'll put it down for a couple of days, come back, and it was just, it was fine. Again, not bad, not amazing. It just never grabbed me as much as some other stories I've read. It's an okay story, decent read with some funny moments. Gets a score of 7.2 out of 10 for me, which is still a good score. I was entertained by this, which is why it gets a 7 score. I thought it was good. It's just a little bit on the border for me between a 6 and a 7. Average it, I'm like, okay, well, I'll give it a 7.2. I was entertained enough that it gets a 7 score, and the game mechanics were interesting enough that it popped up a little bit. So 7.2 out of 10. That's for God Mode, a LitRPG Saga, Mythrune Online with a score of 7.2 out of 10.